What's up, guys? Flash Frame here, and today I'm coming to you with a game review for new Gundam Breaker. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any footage of this game. The reason I don't have any footage is because Bandai Namco decided that the streaming ability of the PS4 shouldn't be allowed in the game. So basically, the built-in functionality of the PS4 to stream, which I was counting on, I can't do. Cheers to that. So, regardless of Bandai Namco's archaic streaming situation on Gundam Breaker, what is Gundam Breaker? Now, for those of you who don't know, Gundam Breaker is a video game series that debuted in Japan, starting on the PS3 with Gundam Breaker, and then Gundam Breaker 2, and then Gundam Breaker 3 on the PS4. These games are also available on the Vita. Now, new Gundam Breaker is the fourth in the series, just released. It is the first one to come to the West. Now, a lot of people will be like, well, okay, like, new game, cool, what's up with it? Well, it centers around, so the core concept of the Gundam Breaker series is that you're playing with Gunpla, or Gundam plastic model kits. The idea is that you can mix and match pieces of these model kits to build the Gunpla that you would like to build. Gunpla stands for Gundam Plastic Model. Excuse me. It's been a long day. So, Gundam Breaker has finally come to the West, and that's great. Except we got a shit version of Gundam Breaker, guys. I'm going to put it out there right up front. New Gundam Breaker is not the Gundam Breaker game that we deserved. At all. I've been championing them to release Gundam Breaker 3 in the West. But so far, I've heard nothing. However, let's go ahead and go over New Gundam Breaker. And let's talk about... I'm going to talk about the negative sides of the game first, and then we'll move to the positives. Negative 1. It's a regression from Gundam Breaker 3. It's a regression in gameplay. It's a regression in customization of your mobile suits. It's a just regression in general. 2. Overall feel. Combat feels bad. Controls feel bad. Like... your mobile suit feels floaty. So the first mobile suit you get is the RX-78, the classic Gundam from Mobile Suit Gundam. While it's walking across the floor, it looks more like it's sliding, like it's not really taking firm steps. It feels like it's sliding across the ground. And that bothers me because even a plastic model should be able to like even in the older Gundam Breaker games, the movement felt better than this. Controls are sluggish. Boosting and dashing around feels sluggish and slow. Unresponsive as well. There's a good half second from input to movement. Not only that, there are constant pauses in the game, and I mean straight up like freezes to the gameplay, where the game just freezes up, and then for several seconds at a time. This is not unsubstantial. Like, this is substantial amounts of freeze. And then it comes back. I'm playing on a standard PlayStation 4. I have received reports and heard from people that it runs better on PS4 Pro. And I would assume when the PC version comes, it will run better on the PC as well. I can't test that right now. I only have the hardware available to me. And at this point, as much as I would like to support Bandai Namco in bringing more Gundam to the West, at this point, I am not interested in picking up a second copy of this game. So, the thing that broke me on this game, because there are some good things. There are some good things about this game, and we'll get to them after this. But the thing that broke me on this game was when I got a hold of funnels. Now, in Mobile Suit Gundam, funnels are an additional weapon system that's often attached to a backpack, sometimes attached to just their own racks somewhere on the mobile suit, that are essentially independently targeting drones. They are drones that will fly out and engage the enemy, go out and fight, and then they're usually out for a short amount of time, and then they will return to the host mobile suit, reattach to their racks to recharge. The problem with this is, so in Gundam Breaker, Gundam Breaker 2, and Gundam Breaker 3, funnels functioned as they should in a Gundam game. They fly out, they attack multiple enemies for a short amount of time, usually 5 to 10 seconds, give or take, depending on if you've upgraded the ability that governs the funnels and whatnot. They'll go out, they'll fight, and then they'll come back and they'll recharge for the cooldown of the ability until you can do it again. So I got my hands on the new Gundam's funnel rack, which is a 4 or 5 funnel backpack. And I figured, okay, let's see how the funnels work. Now, the funnels always work in the Gundam Breaker games in that they fly around and target random enemies or the enemy that you're targeting, and they'll swarm out and fight everything. Then they'll come back. In New Gundam Breaker, they come out, line up in front of your mobile suit, fire once, all of them fire just one shot straight ahead in a line forward, and then return to your rack. This is like a Gundam 101 thing. Like, that's not how funnels work unless they're doing some big, like, major beam attack that does a lot of damage. And that's the other problem with this game. Attacks that should be doing massive amounts of damage, attacks stuff like beam irradiation, which is a large charged beam that fires for an extended period of time, doesn't do the kind of damage that it should. It feels very, very suboptimal. In fact, to the point that with something like the Wing Gundam's Buster Rifle, I felt I was getting more out of it just shooting its standard shot than firing the beam irradiation. And it feels like that with most of the big attacks that I've come to notice, that none of them feel impactful. None of them feel like they have the kind of weight to them that they should. They just feel flat, with no real impact and no point to be used, which really sucks. Because in Gundam Breaker 3, like, the big attacks are big attacks. Like, they're impressive. Sometimes ineffectual if you haven't built properly, but they're still impressive, and they'll still usually do a good amount of damage, where they do not seem to in New Gundam Breaker. Now then, what about positives? So let's talk about some of the positives. The story, while a hokey, dumb visual novel story, is an okay enough story. This is basically Gunpla the dating sim, which you do actually get dating sim elements in this game where you kind of charm certain girls. More that you go down each girl's pathway as a separate path and can see how things would go if your character chose them. But there are several paths and several girls that you can follow and play and team up with and whatnot. This is interesting in that the prior titles your character was just kind of along for the ride and you just kind of went along with everything. That's still the case, but they give you the illusion of choice, at least in this. Which, okay, fine. At least it makes me feel like I'm a little more invested, even if I'm not really. So I think that that's a bonus. There's a little more interactivity with the story itself. The graphics are great. There's no two ways about it. The gunplay have never looked better. The game looks really good. Damage to your models looks good if you go in and you do the chip damage. Just overall, the game looks great. I mean, the Unreal Engine is putting it in overtime with the particles, and like, it looks great. The build system is average. It's on par customization. Well, it's on par customization wise, I'd say, with Gundam Breaker 2, which was a good system. I can't terribly fault Gundam Breaker 2's build system. It was decent. The problem, now we're back into problems. The problem is, this is a game that's about collecting Gundam pieces and building your own custom Gunpla. And the game seems the antithesis of this in the system that allows you to swap parts out on the fly. So if you pick up a part on the battlefield, you have something like 5 or 6 slots available to you. You can then select these slots and swap out parts that you already have that's from your custom to these new parts on the fly. Now, this is cool in that, hey, if you picked up a part that you wanted to swap to, you have the opportunity to early on. You can then swap to that part and utilize it and see if you like it. However, big downside. Those 5 spots are all you 5-6 spots are all you have. You must carry the pieces that you want to keep at the end of the match to a blue box. Put them in this blue box. The blue box moves around on you. And then you must go get more parts. So if you're going and just trying to farm parts, you're going in, picking up parts, leaving combat to go put them away, and then coming back into combat. You're constantly doing a back and forth. In a game that should be about high-speed action. People complained about the farming aspect of Gundam Breaker in the prior titles. It's never been worse than New Gundam Breaker. I will take Gundam Breaker 1's farming system, which was terrible, over New Gundam Breaker's farming system personally. I do not like this system at all. So, I don't know how you screw up on something that had been literally nothing but improved, but they fucked it up. They fucked it up hard. And that's kind of at the end of the day where we're sitting with New Gundam Breaker. New Gundam Breaker is a game that is finally coming to the West. It's bringing the Gundam Breaker series to the West, and it's not a good showing. Gundam Breaker 3 was so good. Hell, Gundam Breaker 2 was great. And Gundam Breaker 1, while the progenitor of the series, was still objectively a good game, if frustrating at times. And instead of improving upon or iterating on what Gundam Breaker 3 gave us, New Gundam Breaker tosses that all out for a multiplayer-centric game. Now, I haven't played the multiplayer. I don't think I want to play the multiplayer. I have historically not played the multiplayer in any of these games. I've played it alone. And I've kind of made do with farming myself and whatnot. Now, here's the other thing. Gundam Breaker 1, 2, and 3 are great co-op games. If you're a fan of co-op, you and a friend can get together in your custom mobile suits and go fight shit and have fun. New Gundam Breaker has no co-op. PvP only, motherfuckers. PvP only. 3 versus 3, quest-focused PvP. Now, I'll admit, I want PvP in Gundam Breaker. I do not want PvP in Gundam Breaker like this. This is bad. But it's what we were given. So, at the end of the day, do I think you should pick up New Gundam Breaker? If you are new to the series, new to the franchise, you're not going to see a lot of the issues that I'm seeing with this game. You are going to see the freezes and the hitching, and you are going to see problems with the story, slowness in menus. You're probably going to feel the sluggishness on the controls, but you're not going to have the same kind of problems that I and many others who are familiar with the series are having. If you're familiar with the series, this is a direct downgrade from Gundam Breaker 3, and I can't say it enough. It is a direct downgrade. How the hell they got a team that could fuck it up this bad? I don't know. I don't know who this team is. I need to find out, because I will be avoiding any of their other content, because this was bad. And it hurts me that this is what they gave us in the West instead of Gundam Breaker 3. So, I'll be leaving a link in the description of this video to PlayAsia, where you can buy an English copy of the Break Edition of Gundam Breaker 3. The Break Edition of Gundam Breaker 3 has all of Gundam Breaker 3's DLC. Just prepackaged. Buy that, support that, play that. I would recommend, even if you buy it and support it and play that, tweeting to Bandai Namco saying, hey, I would have bought New Gundam Breaker, but it's a terrible game. I bought Gundam Breaker 3 instead. Why don't you bring Gundam Breaker 3 to the West? Seriously, don't. I feel bad saying this, but don't buy Gundam Breaker 3. I died on this hill, so you didn't have to at this point. Don't pick it up. It's not worth it. It's not worth the money. Which is sad, because there is fun to be had in New Gundam Breaker. If you can pick up New Gundam Breaker for cheap, like if you can get the game for like $20, you might as well pick it up. Like you're not out that much money, and for $20, I'd be okay with this game. But I dropped like 60 on this game, and it's not what it needed to be. It is a slap in the face to Gundam fans and to Gundam Breaker fans, and this sucks. Like this is not good. So thanks guys for watching the video. Again, I'll be leaving a link to PlayAsia. This is not a sponsored video. I will say that again. This is not at all sponsored by PlayAsia. I just want to get the word out that, hey, Gundam Breaker 3 is a much better game than New Gundam Breaker, and you can play it in English. There's an official English version out there. You just have to import it, which sucks, but hey, at least you can still get a hold of it. So, you know, if you like what I'm doing here, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd appreciate it. And hopefully the next video will be a little happier. But yeah, this isn't my happy face. I'm not happy with New Gundam Breaker, and it kind of it hurts my heart as a Gundam fan that this is what they decided to lead off with in the West. So hopefully this doesn't kill Gundam games in the West, but it very well could, and that sucks. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Peace out.